Hello and welcome to an Otway Marine Industries Coexistence Cooperative briefing on the Otway Adjustment Protocol. This briefing is for commercial marine users and primarily commercial fishers. My name is Matt Smith and I'll be taking you through some of the details to get ready for the implementation of the Otway Adjustment Protocol. In this briefing we will cover the scope of OMICC and the Otway Adjustment Protocol, which I'll refer to from now on as the protocol. We'll talk to you about the activities, the offshore petroleum activities that it covers, and we'll briefly talk about the consultation process that we ran earlier in 2024. There are a couple of outstanding items that we're still working on that I'll talk through, and then I will outline what the claims process looks like before talking to you about the next steps. As a reminder, the Otway Adjustment Protocol has at its core three principles. The first is to ensure that we're implementing the Commonwealth Government's policy for shared access to the marine environment. The second principle is to improve the coordination efforts of petroleum title holders in cooperation and coexistence with the fishing industry. And the third principle, which is a good reminder, is that compensation should be a measure of last resort and should only come into effect after all efforts to coexist have been exhausted, and therefore when interference between two industries is unavoidable. The Otway Marine Industries Coexistence Cooperative tries to promote sustainable coexistence between commercial marine operators in the Otway region and the offshore petroleum exploration activities of CGG and ConocoPhillips Australia. The first initiative under OMICC is the protocol, and that will offer a fair, evidence-based compensation process for commercial marine users who may be affected by those activities. And the aim of the Otway Adjustment Protocol is that no commercial marine user is worse off because of a petroleum activity. The protocol allows for evidence-based compensation for three main things. This is related primarily to commercial fishers, which is displacement, meaning the requirement for fishers to fish elsewhere whilst the petroleum activity is being carried out. A calculation method for loss of catch adjustment, and finally for fishing gear loss or damage. The protocol does cover commercial marine users who are not commercial fishers. This may extend to commercial fishing cooperatives or other commercial marine operators. For the rest of the presentation, I'll focus on commercial fishers. If you're watching this presentation and you don't fall into that category, please reach out to us at OMICC through the email address on the website feedback@omic.com.au. The two activities currently covered by OMICC and therefore by the protocol are ConocoPhillips Australia's exploration drilling activities. The drilling activities cover the areas shown in green and yellow, so both the light green and the dark green and the yellow there, within which drilling may occur. One drilling activity will last approximately 35 days, and there are up to 6 activities with an exclusion area in place around those activities for that period of time. CGG's Regia Marine Seismic Survey has the active source area shown in orange on the maps there, and that is a 90-day survey, of which 60 days is a maximum acquisition timing. And that survey may well occur any time in 2025 to 2029, with 2 operational windows between April to June and from September through to November. During 2024, OMICC members undertook a consultation effort with commercial fishers, writing to all registered commercial fishing licence holders and all relevant persons previously contacted by CGG and ConocoPhillips Australia in an effort to elicit feedback on a draft protocol. There were a number of feedbacks received, 11 in total, from a very large mail out, including from fishing associations and from individual fishers. You can see a percentage breakdown of where the feedback kind of occurred, with the high priority feedback related to concerns related to displacement and long-term catchability. And so we've assessed the merits of those feedbacks and we've updated the protocol accordingly. And as of the date of this briefing, a new, I think it's version 6 of the protocol, has now been published on the OMICC website. In relation to the feedback on the concerns for long-term catchability, we'd like to acknowledge the potential socio-economic impacts, and we can never get away from those facts, that there is definitely the potential for interference, and we must put in that in the backdrop of the shared marine use policy for the marine environment in Australia. And so one-on-one support will be available for people wishing to make a claim, and that claims process has a very clear limitation associated with the duration that a claim can be made after a petroleum activity has been undertaken. And so this is in relation to long-term catchability, that the claims can be made by an entity up to 30 days after an activity has finished. And that is despite the science showing that behavioural impacts to fish return to normal within hours or days of these activities vacating the area, and also that in the instance of the seismic activity, that having assessed thoroughly the impacts on early life cycle stages of various commercial species, the prediction of impacts is that you will not be able to determine any difference to the reproduction rates of these species over the long term. But despite that science, we recognise that people are affected beyond the activities themselves, and so the founders of OMICC have agreed to extend that claims allowance process. So you're allowed to make claims up to 30 days after the activity has finished, and that's different to the amount of time that you have available to lodge a claim, and you can lodge a claim up to 6 months after the activity, and there are now clear definitions in place for the claim period and the lodgement period. As I say, one-on-one support is available. And further, the Otway Adjustment Protocol also commits to an administrative payment for legitimate claimants who can show that they have a licence and that they have previously fished in the area. There is a one-off admin payment regardless of the outcome of that claim. There were a couple of outstanding items in the feedback that we are still working on, and one of those is that there was some ambiguity, or people would like more detail on exactly how the calculation of, and to quote, vessel running costs, what is that definition and what are the costs that make that up. And certainly we have some estimates from previous surveys, but of course they're all historical surveys. So the assumptions that go into that calculation need to be revisited, and that's something we intend to do prior to an activity commencing, is just to establish that everybody's of the same page about what constitutes the vessel running costs, and that's will be a prorated amount that will apply to all activities. There will also be provision for case-by-case assessment. What that means is if the vessel running costs for some reason are demonstrably different from the prorated amounts put forward, then that case can be put forward through the claims process as well. There will also be some greater detail coming once we've done those calculations or been able to establish the vessel running costs. There has been a request for further examples of how those calculations will be made. Another piece of feedback that we're still looking for actually is for people to nominate competent claims assessors. So there's a provision for any fisher to nominate a suitably qualified and independent claim assessor that they believe would be suitable. And it is OMICC's commitment that we will establish a commercial arrangement with those independent assessors such that they can make claims if they are requested and agreed to be the claimant. And so we are continuing to look for nominations. We only have a couple of people on the panel at the moment, and we'd like to get a few more. There is also the requirement to finalise the claims forms. At the moment on the OMICC website you can do a dummy claim so that you can understand how to make an online claim, and there are draft forms in the published Otway adjustment protocol, and those are just being finalised just to make sure that they function properly and people know what information needs to be given in the claim. So what does that process look like? So I'll just reiterate the three things that a commercial fisher can claim for. It is either displacement or CPUE adjustment. Now you can put forward a claim under both methods and then determine the result that you would like, but you can't make, you won't be entitled to receiving compensation under both methods. So it's the actual payment will be based on either displacement or CPUE adjustment. And of course the third type of claim is not related to either of those, which is loss or damaged gear. And we're hoping that we can avoid that situation entirely. And there will be online methods of making a claim, and as I said just a moment ago, you can go and do a dummy claim right now on the OMICC website, or you can fill out the forms, or you can fill out one form simply to give OMICC access to getting your data from the Victorian Fisheries Authority or AFMA, and having somebody else, the independent assessor, do the work for you essentially. So when can you make a claim? So you can during so obviously during the activity, and then one claim per calendar month, or one claim at the end of the activity. And so that really is up to the commercial marine user as to whether or not they would like to make a monthly claim, or whether they are in such a position that they can collect those claims and make one single claim at the end. And as I clarified just earlier, there's a difference between the claim period and the lodgement period. The claim period has now been extended to 30 days after each activity, and the lodgement period will be 6 months after the activity. So there's a number of ways that you can make a claim. I've already gone through those. The final one there that I didn't go through is that you can also appoint your own delegate to process the claim on your behalf if you so wish. And just a reminder there about the one-off payment related to admin costs for every legitimate claimant. As for next steps, we will be visiting key ports in Victoria and Tasmania in February 2025. Exact dates are yet to be determined, and we will be contacting local fishers to request registrations of interest and to identify suitable venues and timings a bit nearer the time. There will be an online instructional video made available shortly. Probably it will now be sometime in the new year again, but it will just talk people through how to make an online claim or how to download the forms to do a non-online claim. And at any time, if any commercial user would like, please reach out to the OMICC team for a one-to-one. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. Please email feedback@omic.com.au for more information on how to get that one-to-one with our team. For now, thank you very much for listening to this briefing, and I do encourage you to get in touch if you have any questions. As a wrap-up, this briefing is available on the OMICC website. So is the latest update of the adjustment protocol, and we look forward to seeing you in February 2025.